Welcome in, everybody.
He baited me.
I almost did because I always like to start on this screen.
He was like,
here.
3, 2, whoa.
Hey there, hold there.
Then he had to do some magic nonsense behind the scenes, and then he counted me in for real. So
that's me, folks. Magic in a bottle. Hey, welcome in. Danger Boy, Sugar Rush, Mo, Sazzle, Rattlecan, Okran, Paint Liquor. Hey, everybody, just if you're out there in the ether, I've assembled all of the winners from birthday stream.
Oh, awesome.
We are getting that stuff out to you. Bear with me. I'm getting everybody, make sure I got everything in order. I have not forgotten you. I've replied to everybody except for the Twitch people. I'm going to get over there. So
awesome.
Hopefully that answered. And there's 6 of you in here, so perfect. Maybe I didn't even get to all of you yet, but it's coming. Anyway.
Awesome.
That's my little disclaimer for today.
Welcome, everyone.
Wow. What a day.
Welcome,
Thank you for choosing.
Hope everybody's having a wonderful middle of your week. It is hump day.
It does not feel like hump day.
What does it feel like?
It feels like
a Monday?
It feels like it doesn't feel like Wednesday. Maybe a Thursday?
Yeah.
You got Thursday vibes? The
Yeah.
water's fine. Hop in. That's the name of the stream today. Hop in, the water's fine. Painting skin with, well, that's the technical part, chat. You see what I've done there for you, so that you have searchability. You're welcome. It's for you.
Yeah, he's full of it, chat.
Hey.
Full of it.
Full of what?
This guy's full of it.
But what if I can't swim, Big Bob? You can swim.
Full of vim and vigor.
You can swim, Big Bob.
Vim and vigor.
That's right.
Feels like hell outside, Nibling. It's like 114. It's hot. Balls.
Today is
balls hot. Jen's all like, got Poppy in the car. We went to lunch. We took lunch over to the production facility today. And she took Poppy with her. And she gets in the car. And she's like, Poppy hates the hot car. I was like,
everybody hates the hot
everybody hates the hot car. Like, legit. Everybody hates the hot car.
The world hates the hot car.
I was like, if there's one thing in this car that can handle the heat, it's that dog. That's why they call it the dog days of summer, because only dogs should have to live in that heat. Right?
The dog days of summer. You're
I don't know why they call it the dog days of summer, but I want to blame it on Poppy, so that's what I'm doing.
What you just said totally makes sense.
Yeah, right? I'm going with it. I'm sticking with it.
Paint Liquor says, can I swim in a bathtub of noosh? No, you said you can swim in a bathtub of noosh.
100%
if you would like
you
to
can
make,
swim in a bathtub of noosh.
If you would like to make that investment, please take pictures and send it to us. But you can't be going into a bath and pouring something else in there and fooling us. We want the real thing. We'll check the order history.
Go check the order history.
Because,
he didn't buy that much noosh. That's
20
a lie.
gallons of noosh. Even 20 gallons. What's an average tub size? 40 gallons? 20 gallons?
Good
no,
God,
not
I think
40.
it's got to be a lot, right?
It's got to be way... It's not a fish tank. There's no way. It's way bigger than that.
Yeah, 20-gallon can be a small fish tank.
Average... I don't need to Google this. I'll just use my imagination. Millions of gallons.
It's not millions.
It could be.
Maybe 80.
Hey, if you needed to know the actual size. Yes, Derpstick, still glazing with advanced flesh. We're hopping right in today.
I'm not messing around. I'm here to paint. I don't know what you lunatics are doing.
Gosh, Jason, I like it when you get all business.
I run a paint stream.
He does. It's serious business painting and fun, but this one is a lot of business. And when I mean business, I mean entertainment. How much for approximately 50 gallons of noosh photos will be taken? You'll have to do that math. And
ooh boy, that's expensive.
Wadib, thank you for that sub.
That's very expensive, by the way.
50,
I'm not even gonna lie.
50 gallons of...
That would be very expensive.
Because it's what? It's 120 mil? And then 50...
It would be very expensive.
And I've gone cross-eyed. Nibling, I painted a green base and posted it in Discord at lunch. LOL. What? I'll have to look at that.
It may have gotten caught in the tsunami of auto deletions I did during lunch.
Bing, 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 bing. Keep calm and glaze on. Ahoy. Thank you, D-Fresh. We like that. Great abs. Thank you, Star Trekkin'. And she's looking pretty good, too.
Chris has been working out.
I have. I do not have those abs. I am still at the 6 roll level category, but we're getting there.
I have a keg. I have 1 big pack.
I got a big pack. I don't know. That sounds actually way better to me.
Yeah, right?
I got a big pack. You got 6
it's
little ones.
It's all in the
I got
marketing,
a big
baby.
Pack.
It's all in the marketing.
I got a big pack, baby. 50 gallons of noosh, yes, would be a lot of business. Mechanized Imposter and Panic Bomb. 275 stream streak. Ridiculous. I need to switch up my little clapper. Here we go. That one's more of an audience, like, crowd type, so I don't know if that one's hitting.
It's like concert
style
Woo! Craziness.
Ooh, I've got a Crickets one, too. Oh, that's for Papa Chicken's next dad joke.
Hey, Chris.
Yeah.
What does it sound like when you pop a chicken?
Oh, what did I do yesterday? It was, 1 second. It was...
That's definitely not what that's the sound effect for a producer that doesn't know what a chicken sounds like.
There it is.
That is not at all what a chicken sounds like.
Meat Treat just said, I got my glass palette as recommended. Do you moisten the palette at all? Or is there a way to slow the dry time? Or just a little, it's just a plain piece of glass. It's all in the,
there's nothing moist other than the paint. There's no water or medium or anything on it. And we're in Arizona where it's ultra dry. And so there's no tricks and no humidity and no, studio funny business going on here.
Actually, yeah, we don't.
It's super dry.
Plus, I have a little fan on in here today, so.
And when you have a fan on, it makes it dry even quicker.
Yes.
The key for me is to not put so much paint out that it dries before I'm using the amount that's on the palette is really the goal from my perspective. Now I'm adding a lot of water into this part that you see here. Like you pop in close on the palette. This part where you see me pulling paint down and thinning it for the glaze, but the droplet of paint is not. One thing that I tell people is that you'll see all this paint spread around because I've been glazing a lot and basing, but don't ever spread your paint out. Like keep this droplet as a big droplet of paint still, right? You don't want to spread it out thin because then it dries up super quick. Take your brush and just touch the side of the droplet and pull some paint down here. You get all the paint you need to work with that way, but the droplet stays intact. It makes it a lot easier to avoid that overly dry or quick drying issue.
I love how that palette looks on camera when it's clean. No. I should clean my palette at home.
You should.
Well, you know what's funny? I thought there was some magical sauce reason why you had a dirty palette all these years. So when you told me, hey, Chris, it's just because I don't clean it, my whole artistic workflow changed overnight. I'm like, well, I've been told in my life, my young life, to do what the masters do.
Yeah.
So I'm like, Jason has a dirty palette. I should have a dirty palette.
Absolutely not.
And I'm like, well, I could wash it, but there's still a little space here and there, right? And then Jason one day was like, Chris, we got to clean this palette. And I'm like, what are you talking about?
What do I pay you for? I think is what I said.
And he's like, this palette needs to be cleaned. And I was flabbergasted.
Clean
I'm like,
palettes around here, do we?
I thought you liked it. I thought you were making a mission statement.
He really did think that.
I did. I thought you actually
plan.
liked it. I thought you were
think
just.
That was what was so genuine about it. Is I was like, he's not even lying. He
No.
really thinks.
I literally thought you.
It was hard for me to not just roll with it, being like, oh yeah, I'm joking. I definitely think that the dirt, and then just have made some story up about how all the dried paint on the palette was for a reason.
I thought it was
because you'd have bought it hook, line, and sinker.
Oh yeah. I thought it was specifically a process thing for you. I'm like,
well, it is. It's a process of laziness where I'm like,
I know. So silly. I'm like, man, that guy's cool. He's got a dirty palette, so I'm going to dirty mine up. And actually now I'm doing the same thing where I'm like, I got a little space left. Keep using it.
Easy to fall victim to that.
That's right. Not when we're filming. I won't do it for that. Derpstick, never a weird question. Maybe a weird question, but Reds, What reds would you need to mix to make a ketchup tone of red? Ketchup. What kind of ketchup we talking? Lots of different ketchups out there, Derpstick. We talking classic Heinz? Heinz?
Hanes. That's underwear.
They need to collab immediately. Heinz and Haynes.
Together again. The best combination. Heinz and Hanes. And just have like models in their underwear spreading ketchup all over themselves.
Oh my gosh. That's hilarious.
I'm feeling it. They can pay us later.
Yeah, seriously. We'll send the invoice, Heinz and Haynes, to Monument, or call the hotline below, 555-555.
When are you going to have that number? So that the chat can contact you, Chris.
I don't. No, that's coming. I have a big plan for that. I have lots of big plans, Jason.
I know you have lots of aspirations.
And I take them all on one bite at a time.
You one bite at a time?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
One bite at a time.
I don't even want to know.
I take big bites.
Sorry, I asked.
I take big bites. Get it?
Sorry,
Heinz and Haynes.
I asked.
Oh, I see what you say right there. Sorry, I asked. Sorry. I knew that was stretching. Hey,
so
sorry,
I want to say I apologize, chat, early on in the stream because Gabe took Chris to lunch.
You're
or Chris
right.
took Gabe to lunch.
No,
Something happened, and the two of them were walking out of the building when Jen and I were going with Ellie, our new HR director, over to Palm to introduce and do good business, fun stuff. And and Christopher, on the other hand, was going out to lunch, knowing full well, and I told him again, right in front of the HR folks, that you are not allowed to go to lunch. That's not how this works, Chris.
I did. Nibling, day 75, asking where my survey is. Nibling, it hasn't even been 75 days.
Close.
And I do that in the evening time, by the way, Nibling. Like
it's been
when
very close to 75 days.
When I go home, I'll dip in the pool, do a couple laps, and I'll think about survey questions every lap. What survey, and then I'll go home and I'll write it down. I have a survey. I have it created. Now I'm just adding to it.
Fleshing it out, we call that.
We're calling it
painting
flesh.
See what I did there? Ha, 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 ha. That's top grade humor right there, folks.
New HR director. How did Cora take the news? Says Wad.
Cora is retiring.
Cora's retired. Yeah, you could panic bomb. You can call in. You're gonna have to. Unfortunately, you're gonna have to call in to Matt, who's at the front desk. He will vet you harshly, and then when I mean harshly, he'll let you in. And then you can come on live stream, and then we'll do ask your painting question, even though you can type it literally right now. I don't know what else you want. Phone, messaging, all the above.
I just got this paint off my hands this morning.
You did.
And here it is back again. I don't know if
that one's on you.
I don't know if I'm into this.
We're so glad you're all here. Thank you so much for tuning in. Welcome. Where have you been? We're doing some skin today. The last 2 days we've been doing that. So catch those VODs on the YouTube live tab. And we're painting up some more skin today. What are you doing right now, Jason?
Painting up some skin, Chris.
Looks like it. Are you?
Yes, I'm doing that too.
Can you tell me how you glaze in particular said areas?
I mean,
walk me through what you're doing now. Are you adding more to your previous layer?
I'm going in, and right now, actually, what I'm looking at is the contrast between muscle groups. You know, you can get it to where it's too dark in the recesses like it is back here.
Right.
And so what I'm doing is I'm testing different levels of color layering into that, because the cleft of her butt here is it's a little too dark around this area, right? It wouldn't be that, because it's not like there's a deep cleft there.
Yeah.
So just very carefully, I want to be able to bring color in there, and I need to make it thin enough to where the darkness is still there because it is a shadowed area.
Right.
So yeah, that's all I'm doing. It's
Okay.
just a lighter version, a very light, thin glaze of the advanced flesh tone into those darker areas, and I'll do it 2 or 3 times to bring the value up to match, where I want it to be. It'll be darker than the surrounding areas, but not so dark that it looks like there's a a big deep edge there, right? Because if I look at it like this, it's just a little dark. Oh.
Derpstick says, going back to the ketchup question, yeah, classic Hanes ketchup red is what I'm thinking of. What reds do I need to mix it?
I like the idea of like burnt red or red oxide, and then maybe some of the orange red, something along those lines. Sounds really good to me.
Yeah.
You want to start with that tomatoey red, which is a darker red, not quite fire engine, and then add some warmth into it with an orange yellowy kind of vibe, so you get it right. You can go darker than that too. You could start with adding in I don't know what else would go darker though. I think that I would probably stop at burnt red, to be honest with you.
Burnt red?
Yeah.
Burnt red, I would say organic ketchup.
Yeah, I feel like it.
Belcor says, hey everyone, I'm thinking of painting the Gorgamonger's kill team in grimdark style. So far I see the enamel and oil washes are commonly used for style of painting. What is the main difference between them? Can I use Noosh for the same effect for infantry-sized models?
100%.
Great question.
100%. As with most things in our hobby, as soon as people start attaching names to a technique of painting, it gets lost in the sauce as to what they're really trying to do.
Yeah.
Right? Think in terms less of the, people say grimdark style. What does that even mean? Right? It just means that you're trying to paint something that's dark and gritty. So you don't have to use any type of effects on it if you don't want to. You can create all of that with brush strokes. You've seen us do it here. You've seen other painters do it. But if you choose to do something that is like enamel and oil wash, that works great. Noosh will do that as well for the subtractive layering to do the weathering and oil, greasy, grimy, been in the trenches kind of a feel. Right?
Yeah.
And so think less about what is attached to the particular buzzword of the day, and more about the technique you saw that really made the model pop the way you liked it. You have to be careful when doing that, because you can go so grimy with washes, noosh, whatever you're using, that you lose contrast. And I think that that's the biggest problem I have with those kinds of trends, is that they fail to really say, okay, well, how do I maintain good contrast, which is what's going to pull the model together? How do I not just lose my Death Guard model in the grime? And it's like, okay, well, where's the detail? Like it looks like it was dipped in mud at some point.
Sure.
And that may not be what you're looking for. So just be careful as you go and figure out, okay, well, how far do I want to take it? All of the above, oil and enamel washes and noosh will all allow you to kind of layer and get where you want to be. So yeah, I think it's just a determination of what you want to mess with. Just make sure you keep some contrast on there. A lot of that can be done with your color choice for what you do your grime with. Some people will go way too dark, and that'll blow your contrast out because it'll be very hard to highlight. Or if you go back and highlight over the top of very dark weathering, then it looks like a pinstripe suit. You get very bright contrast in the highlights against this dark, gritty background, and that can look funky.
Yep.
So a lot of people just over weather and then leave it, and that can look odd. So that's the only things that I would say.
Lumberjack Tim says, I've officially used all of the amp colors on this Miniac cheerleader bust.
Awesome.
Lumberjack?
I saw you post that. I don't remember where I saw it, Tim. I don't think it was in our Discord. I think it was on just something in social media. And I love the progress on it. Great job. Skin was looking really good. Great work.
Emerson says, good afternoon. Happy to report that I literally blew the dust off my desk and paint yesterday and started to get back into the hobby after the messaging.
Awesome.
Look at that.
Awesome.
Wow.
Somebody in Discord, who was it in Discord? I don't think it was you, was it? That after the stream yesterday, they posted up their calendar of events that they loaded up with what they're going to paint when.
I don't know.
They found it on their calendar, the times that they had to be migrating around and working on painting and get them back into the groove. And I'm like, I love this. That's levels of dedication I don't yet have.
No, Emerson, that's great. We were talking about that yesterday. I'm so glad you got inspired. I did too.
That means the world. That's what we do. That's what we're here for, is to make it easier to keep that mojo flowing, as it were.
Nibling, you posted the calendar?
That's awesome.
No wonder you're waiting for my survey.
That's awesome. He's got it on his calendar. Chris's survey when?
I'm so glad I actually wrote, yikes. I wrote, I think you will all enjoy the intro page that I wrote for you all for this survey. I was tempted to post it in Discord and tag everybody. I almost did late in the evening. It was 2 nights ago when I had finished what I'm calling my epilogue. That's what it's called, right? Epilogue?
That's at the end of the story.
That's exactly what I mean.
Did we have a prologue?
Nope.
I don't remember where this began. How do you have
The
an epilogue
survey,
when you haven't told the story yet?
The survey starts with the epilogue.
Okay, there you go. So in the end,
we
really thought long and hard about what we had done.
No,
and now we'd like to ask and get your feelings on it. And people are like, what is he talking about? I haven't even read the rest of the book yet.
I hope you all enjoy the first bit, because I took time to craft it. And there will be a lot of questions.
I claim absolutely zero responsibility for anything he's talking about. I just want to have you know that.
Maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll put that in there, and I'm just going to announce it to the world, and then Jason can wake up to the, Chris pinged everybody. That's 6,000 people. If I could get 6,000 people to do this survey, here
we go.
Would be on cloud 9.
Yeah, his hats won't fit. Can you imagine dealing with him on stream if 6,000
No!
people? Chat, I just want you to think about this for a second before you embark on this endeavor with Christopher. If 6,000 people were to answer anything that Chris put out into the ether, how do you think our lives would be as a group after that? Do you think that we would be able to contain his enthusiasm properly? Do you think he would actually even pay attention to us, or would he just be like, oh, plebs?
I would sit over there and read every single one. If I get over a certain amount on stream, I have big plans for this survey, chat. And the big plan is you, because we're here for you. You make us who we are. Does that make sense? Paint Liquor says you're lucky to get one. You'd be lucky to get 1,000. I would be lucky to get 10.
Yeah. I'm thinking 10.
If I got 10 surveys done, you guys, come on.
I think 10's a strong number, and that you can rely on 10 people out of our community.
I am hoping
to do this with you.
I'm hoping for 100.
100 survey responses.
100 survey responses.
Okay, I can see that. I can see that.
I think that is actually an easy, achievable number.
I can see that.
One survey to rule them all. Now, when you read it, you'll have to take all of the phonetic spellings with a grain of salt, because I'm a wordsmith, as you all know. First of all, I can't speak. So just get ready for that bit. Yes, Lumberjack, you're right. 100 was the deal.
Oh, was it?
That was the deal.
What do you mean deal?
What was the deal, Lumberjack? Remind me. Something I get like $1 million.
Did you make a deal with the devil on this?
No.
Is there
I made a deal with you.
With me?
Yeah.
Oh, I should remember this.
You came over to my office and you're like skipping, doing your to-do's.
Not a thing.
This is true, Lumberjack. Yes, you are correct. He's like, hey, Chris, first of all, you're the best. And I'm like, oh, Jason.
Never uttered those words.
Oh, Jason, don't do that.
In my entire life.
And he's like, no, I mean it. And then he's like, I'm like, oh, okay. He's like, you know what? If you get 100 surveys, I'll give you my car. And, so.
Do you get the payment?
Huh?
Do you get the payment, or do I have to keep paying for it?
That's in the survey.
Huh?
That's in the survey.
That's in the survey?
Yeah.
So wait a minute.
I get your car.
Okay.
If I get enough answers, does Chris have to adopt the payments for Jason's car? It's no, multiple choice, no, nope, maybe no, and no.
I don't feel like that bodes well for me at all.
No.
Like none of that is good.
I
for
don't
me.
remember.
None
I
of
just
those
want
answers
100.
were good. You take the car, and I keep making the payments is not good for me, Chris.
No, Tech Elf. I will not. Here's the thing, Tech Elf. I will not be bribing people. Nobody gets Wizard's Butt if you complete my survey, because then I will have so many surveys to go over, and so many. The shipping costs on 6,000 individuals like that would probably be crazy.
Be putting it on his company card.
We'll get the Antarctica submission.
I have to live with Jen, and that conversation will be very rough. If she's like, so I was looking at reconciling Chris's credit card today, and I have some questions. And I'm be like, oh, look at the time. It's Taco Thursday.
It's Taco Thursday.
It's Taco Thursday, and I have to go. Oh, of course, I'm not going to go hang out with Chris and his credit card. But, and, honey, can I borrow your car? Because I no longer have a car. Oh, yeah, no, we still have to pay for it. That was in the survey. Did you check the survey?
Yes, it's all in the survey.
She said she loves surveys. So
the survey is legally binding. I was like,
this is partly your fault, is what I'm going to lead with. This is largely your fault. So
yeah, the survey is legally binding. Yes, a raffle. Oh, sulfurish. Maybe if you do the survey. No, I don't want to bribe anybody. There's nothing. This is for pure fun. If your idea of fun is answering my ridiculous questions, so you don't have to. I understand. Ghost Hunter. Chris has already bribed me to do the survey. Ghost Hunter. No, I did not do that. I've not done any of that. A raffle for an autographed Wizard's Butt. Oh. If you complete my survey, we'll have Jason autograph a Wizard's Butt. That's not in writing. I can't bribe you. I keep falling into we'll do this or do that. We can't. Swifter Bear, I'm so glad you asked. What about a survey?
Oh, Jesus.
I'm crafting
Chat,
the last
can I beg
survey.
you, please, to not egg him on?
You're right, Jason.
You're
right.
This is
I'm
like,
sorry.
don't feed the bear. He already had lunch, and now you're egging him on.
You're right.
Can we please?
What about this survey? I will only spend 1 more minute on it, and my time starts now. I am crafting one survey to rule them all. The last survey you'll ever have to take to satisfy your quenched thirst for a tall drink of survey water will be the cuppeth you drink from mine. The last survey you'll ever have to do. It will be the best survey you've ever taken in your entire life.
I love that you think people enjoy surveys.
I know. They'll enjoy this one. That's the point. So that was my last minute. Stay tuned and keep an eye out for my work in progress. Wink, wink. Nudge, nudge. Hint, hint. Anyway, Jason, what are you doing?
Painting boobs.
Woo! My man.
I'm filling in the gaps again. I'm just going around the water, looking at around the model, looking at number one, where I might have missed with some of the glazing from yesterday, because we kind of stopped midway through the back. So kind of evening out, getting lighting where I need it to be there. I wanted to shift the highlight over on her left butt cheek so that it extends further into the shadow, because I had this highlight on the right that I really like. And even though when we're looking at the model from the sun's perspective, we only have that little sliver of highlight on the right butt cheek, and we should have more on the left, right? But I'm kind of evening that out right now. I'm being a little timid today. I'm not wanting to go full bore. I'm using a smaller brush. I'm going with a little less opacity, and just kind of feeling around the model so that I can get exactly the areas covered that I want in the way that I want. So, kind of, I call it being timid. When you're glazing, the nice thing is you can put some color on there and see how it sits, see how you like it. and then follow it up again, which is what I've done here. Right, so I can get it kind of sectioned where I want, say, yeah, I think I'm going to like that, and then I can go more full bore with the color and bring that brightness more into tune, if you will. What makes glazing so fun is the control that it gives you once you are comfortable working with low opacity paint. And low opacity generally means low viscosity too, meaning that it's more watery. Yesterday we had a lot of people ask how would I work if we were mixing with the glazed wash medium. So I did want to take a moment, even though we've done a lot of this process already with the advanced flesh tone.
You were mentioning that.
I do want to take a moment today to, when we move to the next color, do it with glazed wash medium and show how I would work in that scenario too. So with the next highlight, I think that would help people.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to another color doesn't make it any different how I would use it, but I think it would be good to show people if I were not wanting to just use water alone, how would that look? So we'll do that when we go to the highlight, and hopefully we'll definitely get there today, because I don't plan to spend more than about
thank you.
20 or 30 minutes on this.
Sure. No, that's great. I think that'll definitely help people understand the use case with this kind of scale and this amount of skin too, because a lot of people talk about like, oh why does it get so chalky, right? Why are my glazes so chalky? Or so.
Yeah, so and if all you're doing is trying to use water all the time, that can exacerbate that situation, so you can wind up having to fight back that chalkiness.
Sulfur says, I'm not confident with consistency in water in my brush, so hell yeah.
Okay,
nice.
Good. Yeah, no, I know somebody brought it up yesterday, so thank you for that. It's something I get kind of lost in the process of that I wanted to find on stream, and my goal here is to show you how easy it is to just work with water, but water is at a much lower viscosity, and so if you would like to have a more controllable paint, then using the glazed wash medium can help you with that for sure. Yeah. So we'll take a look at that.
Cool. Hey, Jason, that sounds like a great idea.
You know, I'm always thinking of the people, Chris.
You are thinking of
I'm a people person thinking of the people.
You are, all the time.
All the time.
Literally all the time.
All the time.
We do, and I'm not even joking. That's not even a joke. We think about you guys all the time. What's best for you? We're here for you.
Here I want to start defining the shadow coming out of the globe of the breast onto the rib cage, so I'm going to make sure that I don't highlight further over than this little arc that I'm making, so that shadow will survive. You see how I've done this one? So this one, the highlight, I just make sure I keep under that area. Might feather into it just a bit to make sure I don't have a line, but the goal is to keep this shadow of the breast.
Sazzle, for a second I thought you were talking about our hobby cup, which is right there. He uses these little plastic mixing cups from Amazon to do his little mixes.
Yeah.
Just type in plastic mixing cup on Amazon. You'll probably find 1 million of them for $1. Not true, but you know what I mean. Close enough.
And they're graded. They have grades on the side of them for measuring and all that. I actually use them when making the paint. So when I'm filling the paint, I will use them for my measuring for weight, because they're very lightweight. So, but they're still heavy enough to measure on my scale.
Dark Mockery says, I just started to attempt to add my airbrush to my painting process beyond priming and base coating.
Awesome.
I tried using the glaze and wash medium, and it works great. Love the stuff.
It's fantastic. It's almost like a flow improver.
It's awesome.
So it works like a champ.
Yep, I've put that into my workflow too. Dark. That's in the survey, by the way.
No, it isn't. I mean, it might be now, but don't act like it was before.
Oh, Jason. Anything you're about to say
is also in the survey. I get it, Chris. You're a thief. I understand.
Jason.
You're thieving ideas.
I am not a thief.
You're the thief of ideas, the thief of creativity.
No, Gandalf. I'm thin. Butter scraped over too much bread. Running low on warm brown. Gonna need to order more, using a base for rich gold to go over it. Nice.
Warm brown is such a great color.
I love warm brown.
I mean,
I used warm brown.
People get sick of me saying that, because I'm like, all of our colors are such great colors.
This color's great. That color's great. Oh, you want to know what's gonna be one of the longest survey questions I have on there, chat?
Oh, geez.
What's your favorite color? That's on there.
Why is that a long question? Because it's going to need
You
want
to
to
know how
all
many.
Of the Pro
You want to
lineup?
know how many multiple choice options are in that one?
All of the colors?
Maybe.
Choose your favorite color or colors from the lines below. And it's all of the Pro Acryl line. You should just start with A being all of the below.
And then I got to do it for the bit. Kira says purple. Purple's a good color. Jason likes the good royal purple.
Like all the purples. And it's funny because purple doesn't even register on like a color you'd ever see me thinking of out in the world. Like I don't wear anything purple. I wouldn't drive a purple car.
I feel like you would wear a purple, a dark purple Dickies work shirt. I could see you in that.
If they made
that would actually be a dope. That would actually be a dope.
I have to admit, if they
color,
made like
dude.
a severely dark, like midnight purple,
that would actually be
because I do have the blue ones,
one.
and I like the blue ones a lot.
That would actually be a dope one.
He knows me too well, chat. All I wear, people at work make fun of me because my uniform is the same no matter what I'm doing. If I'm out in public on my day off, or
sure, no, it's I respect. But I'm just saying that would be a dope color Dickie shirt.
Yeah, that would actually. Need to contact him.
My favorite color is mix of green and bright yellow green. Ooh, Nibling. I've seen that before out in the wild.
We just did that the other day, and I know where you're going with this. And I won't stand for it.
Nibling, I hear you. I just want to make sure I say that out loud. I hear you.
Don't believe him.
I hear you, and
don't believe him.
I can only help you so much because I asked for you, chat, and he did that on Monument's birthday. So I don't know.
I delivered.
Yeah, you 100% did. I don't know how it gets any better than that. Truly. Gray, blue. Okay. Hey, name your favorite color out there, chat. I want to see them. Do it right now. Pro Acryl color. Painful gray. Ted Onions, I know what you mean. Payne's gray is an amazing gray. Bright yellow green. T-Schmid, knew it.
T-Schmid, I was thinking about you yesterday and today. I was about to reach out to you and send you a message because I was like, why haven't I heard from Taylor in chat recently? Have you just not been reading his chats, or has he not been here?
No, he's been in here. I've been reading them.
I don't think so.
Oh, I've been reading them.
Taylor, I apologize for Chris's ignorance.
No. I've been reading
your messages.
Oh. He'll pop in here and give me a zinger every once in a while.
I was like, I wonder what's wrong with T. Schmidt.
No, he's been in here.
All right.
He's
checking.
He's lurking.
These are my people.
Even if he doesn't say anything, he's lurking. I've been here. I think Twinch dumps my chat sometimes. Hey, I don't dump you. I'm always looking for you, Mr. T. Schmid. You know that. Always thinking about you.
Don't trust him.
Walking high with that big old green water bottle of yours. I know what you do out there. I hear you and see you. Rattle can. Jason, you need to paint the surf wax bums and some vinyl stickers to cover dings.
Yeah.
Doesn't work, by the way. You don't, Rattle can, we'll do that just for you. Michael Holtz. Honestly, burnt red.
Yeah, burnt red's a great color.
Mo, no. I don't dump anybody. I read. Even if it's bad sometimes. Dark Sea Ben, okay.
Great color.
Hey,
cow.
whoa.
Well, what do we do now?
Well, it says Chris misses stuff easily. I see what you just did there. Oh, no. Jade is probably my favorite. Jade is probably my favorite PA color. I can see that for you.
I thought somebody was about to say Jade was their favorite Monument producer.
I would have banned him. I dare you.
That's what I was hearing.
Ban you.
That's what I was hearing form on your lips, and I was like, did they just get him? Did he just get led right into that one?
I need to print a new label. I replaced that monstrosity of a jug with a more manageable bright green one. Says T. Schmid.
Hey, chat, I would like to have you all remember, throw some love and hearts in chat because T. Schmidt gave us this.
That's right. Wow. That's right. You heard that. That's my job on the line, Mr. T. Schmid. Mo says, Gabe misses more in your defense, Chris. Hey, thank you. There's a lot coming at us, chat. And then I'm like distracted by Jason's beautiful paint job. Then we have Jason who's distracting himself, you know. That's not flattery. That's just fact.
I'm beautiful. I'm beautiful.
So, and then I got to go over here and then I get messages. Hey, it's coming at me at all angles, chat. I'm doing my best for the best, and that's you. And then I got to get my noisemakers. It's a busy bee over here. Then I got to record stuff. Oh, I'm like an octopus over here.
What?
I'm like doing 100 million things at once. You heard me. You know what I said.
You. That's half the problem.
that's
the problem.
I love that.
That's
half the problem.
Half the problem is
what's
that I
the
have
other
ears.
50%?
What's the other 50%?
Yeah, what's the other problem?
Oh.
That's half the problem. What's the full problem?
Half the problem is that I have ears and I can hear what you say. The other half of the problem is that I decided to be stuck in a room with you for 2 hours every day. I did this to myself, and I know. I realized.
Yes, Mo, that's absolutely correct. Kind of like George Jetson at work pressing buttons. Absolutely. Payne's Gray, Dark Jade, Dark Plum, also mahogany. Nice.
Awesome. I can just keep going.
Yeah. Panic Bomb says, my favorite color is pink. Like the slip Chris gets when he's fired. Yikes.
That's real talk.
I'll take it. I don't work here, Chad. I just show up.
He's the red stapler guy. Hadn't had a paycheck in like months.
You guys get paid?
Whoa, sorry.
Whoa,
sorry.
What?
HR?
Paycheck? Did Papa Sush start assembling this new model? Yes. He is deep in it, chat. My father, Stefano. He's in it. He's going for it.
I find that to be very, very exciting.
It's awesome.
I hope you told him how
did.
Happy I was.
I did. I
to
said
hear that he was involving himself in painting a tank.
Yeah.
For certain. That's my
King Tiger.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah,
he showed the box.
He is jazzed. My dad likes doing stuff all the time. He's a
doer.
He's a part of his fibers, and he's super excited.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
love it.
One of these days, I'm gonna have them come down to the office and see it. They haven't been here yet, so one of these days. I do not sit on a bouncy ball. It is called a swapper chair.
It's a bouncy ball.
It's not
by any other name.
It's called the swapper chair. I got it years and years ago, testing out different ergonomic chairs. And guess what? Nobody wanted it.
Everybody at the company he was checking chairs for was like, get rid of that thing.
Killjoy, last week when you said you would teach painting flesh by painting a bust, I was imagining something different. Killjoy, what were you thinking? This is the bust.
When I saw this at Contrast, it was just immediate like, oh, skin tutorial. Because guess what? When the model's 90% skin, doesn't get any better than that. It's really difficult, and as much as we, tongue-in-cheek joke or whatever, this is a great model because it is more of an academic for the female form than anything, but just a great way to explore skin across the entirety of the body. A lot of models don't give you this. Now, there are like Conan the Barbarian models and things like that where you've got a ton of skin showing, maybe, dwarf slayers and things like that. So, not saying they don't exist.
Yeah.
But when I saw this, I was like, this is great. Plus, the surfboard gives me a great way to focus on some neat freehand work, too. So, it was just a model that spoke to me, even though it's not traditionally what I'm invested in.
It's a beautiful teaching model. Yeah,
I'm not a big fan of models that are more slice of life, I'll call them. This is just a normal human doing normal human things, as normal as surfing is, right?
Looking out at the waves.
Yeah, just not something I care too much about. I've never been a surfer. I've never cared about it. So
really?
It wasn't anything that appealed to me other than a big, broad surface for doing freehand.
You've never you're never into surfing?
Never once.
Oh.
Grew up skateboarding,
Well, yeah,
but
you
the
did.
beach and surfing
Yeah.
just was not my gig.
Yeah,
The
I feel
water and me, I love going in the ocean and swimming. I love deep sea fishing. I love
Yeah.
all that kind of stuff. But nah,
Oh, interesting.
it's a wild, uncontrollable thing. It only took me being rolled across
Sure.
a coral reef once on my back before
Oh.
I was like, yeah, forget this.
I'm good.
The water is angry, and I'm not good enough or willing to invest in this. So
Yeah, no, I
this was
feel
not
that.
my calling.
I feel that. Mondo, thank you so much for that sub. 5 months. Non-metallic Meatball says, are there any plans to add tattoos to this model?
We talked about it yesterday, as a matter of fact. There could be tattoos on her. I don't have a problem with doing that.
Maybe when you do the freehand.
I feel like let's get to the point where the model and the surfboard are looking done, and we'll do it. I am going to do some freckles. So today, before we move on to the next highlight color, I'll be doing freckling
okay.
on the skin. So
Okay.
I will be doing that. Jen brought that up, and I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, freckles. I like that. Mo says sharks. Enough said.
I don't really care about sharks. I mean, I know that's a stupid statement. Obviously, I care about sharks. I'm not going to be like, hey, look, shark, great.
Let's go pet it.
Yeah, cool. Can we pet that? Look, can I pet that dog?
I that's one of my bucket list items is to go shark caging.
I almost did.
You did?
If there had not been a travel advisory to South Africa when I was about to go, a buddy and I had, we had the boat chartered. We had talked to the guy, the whole nine, and it literally came down. I mean, there was some trepidation from us.
Yeah.
Like we were all like, "Are we sure we're doing this?" But we registered the boat, chartered the boat, and everything.
Wow. That'd
We
be so
we
cool.
lost some of our deposit in that because they issued a travel advisory. I don't forget what craziness was going on in South Africa at the time, but yeah, you can go down to around the Cape.
Yep.
At Cape Town, and we found a guy through a friend of ours who ran a charter that would do shark dives right down around the Cape, which is great white land. So,
I would love to do that.
and they pretty much said that during your trip over the course of 2 days, they guaranteed a fish of a minimum of, I believe, 12 foot.
Wow.
Because they have some resident fish that are there that they just know they can get out there. They chum the waters and stuff, and I'm like,
I would love to do that.
that was years
day.
and years and years ago, and then I never thought about it again. So I'm not going to sit here and try to tell you. Like, it's like skydiving doesn't impress me. None of that stuff impresses me. But I was like, all right, I'll do it if you guys do.
Yeah. That would be cool.
There's the graphic out there of the shark that's like, oh, look at that poor man stuck in that cage. Here, let me help. And he like starts gnawing on it.
Yeah, I would love to see them. I'm actually, this is funny, a month or so ago now, I signed up to go on a cruise with my whole family next year.
Okay. Awesome.
And we're going to go halibut fishing in Alaska one of the days.
That's awesome.
I'm saving up to do that.
Halibut can be big.
Yeah. My dad's done it once, and I've been training for it essentially slowly because if you catch a big one, it could be 150 pounds.
I caught a black marlin that was 210.
Wow.
I think
That's
it was
huge.
210. It took 3 of us on the rod for quite a bit of time.
I'm so excited. I would be awesome to catch a huge fish.
That was down in the Sea of Cortez.
Yeah.
And it was a catch and release boat. So,
okay.
But they had a deal on the side that later on people told me that sometimes those scales aren't great. They have the net on the side that's a scale system.
Oh.
So you can pull it up next to the boat. They wrap the fish in the net, and then they bring it up out of the water on the side of the boat, and it has a scale attached to it. But they say that those are plus minus scales.
That's cool.
They're not very good. But I think it was like at 210.
I would love it. My uncle T. Schmidt says, my uncle took us halibut fishing once. No one caught anything massive. And actually, the massive ones don't taste as good. So that 50
Probably
to 70
like old gamey stuff, right? Because they're old fish.
50 to 70 pounds is what you want, because anything over that, from what I've been researching and what I've been told, it's too tough. It's not good fish, essentially. But it'd be cool.
I was stoked. All the other thing I've ever caught down there was like Dorado, which fight like a bastard, but you can catch a million of them and you fillet them up, and they're just good eating fish. But catching that one was amazing because it literally took 3 of us in the seat.
Takes a long time.
Oh my god!
Probably took you like
backing the boat up, then running the fish tired, and then backing the boat up, and then running the fish, and you get beat up. Like I had never really paid attention to deep sea fishing. Didn't know anything about it. A buddy of mine chartered a boat, and we all went down for his he got divorced, so it was like
Oh,
a party, and then it started being an annual thing. And I swear to you, man, it was really fun. I didn't ever catch a lot of stuff, but that one I remember fighting it forever and being like, "This is what this is like," because you couldn't feel your arms after.
You said it was like 45 minutes to an hour and a half, depending on how big.
It was like an hour and a half or 2 hours, of them. And the captain is everything. It's how they navigate the boat is the bigger thing than you on the rod, because you can't do everything you need to. The fish swims in weird ways, so they have to counter drive from where the fish is going to keep the fish and the rod aligned for you. Otherwise, they go off the side of the boat.
I'm very excited at some point.
It's a lot of fun.
It's gonna be. I'm going in May. That's my next vacation.
Sulfurish, right? Yeah, I was like, I never understood any of that stuff, and since then I've never felt it again because I never caught such a big fish. But it's insane.
No, you're a swifter bear. Here's a
Revna, a Revna Hellforge Manticore. Those are all made up words. I wanted to know how you would build up a glowing metal interior furnace. I don't know the model, but when doing like a furnace glow on the inside, it's just like when you think in terms of fire or hot coals. The heat is in between the coals. The brightest spot is the source of the flame, not the tip of the flame, right? So I think that's really where you have to keep your mind. Is this what you're...
Is this from Hero?
Hero Forge.
Heroescape?
It says Heroescape, Hellforge, Manticore, something. Holy mackerel, what in the world am I looking at?
I don't even...
That looks like a tank with all sorts of crazy
I don't know if
stuff.
this is the right thing, but I literally...
I bet it is. I mean, that's the name of it.
Yeah,
that's crazy, though. Interesting model.
Interesting looking. Huh.
For Heroescape?
Yeah.
They have electric rods for deep sea fishing? What do you mean, that reel themselves in?
Like a...
We were on a cheap boat in the
There ain't no electrical rods in this boat.
We didn't have any fancy stuff. The fanciest thing we had was this razor sharp knife that the captain and the ship's mate had. The mate was his son, and his wife had made fresh tortillas every day we went out. And they would, if we caught Dorado, his son would sit down and fillet the Dorado up, and we'd have raw Dorado on tortilla for us. Wow. That was the most high-tech thing that was going on in that entire
Yes, I've heard of the electric rods for B-Rab.
Not a thing I know about. Like I said, fishing, not my gig. Not something that I'm, like, in tune with. I just know that was a blast.
I love fishing. It's a good gig.
I had a model here that had like the coal in its belly that I could kind of show you. You know the Santa model? Do you know where that is, Chris?
I think so. Yeah, I could go grab it real quick. Yeah, I know where it is.
It's one of the ever-loving paint party ones.
I took a picture.
That seems like cheating if you have powered rods, though. Not gonna lie. I think that the fun for me was the thrill that comes with knowing that at any time you could lose all this effort. as masochistic as that may seem, that was really where my pleasure in the whole thing came from. Was that made it competitive, even if the competition was only with yourself, right? It was that I don't want to let anybody down, I don't want my friends to laugh at me, kind of a thing. For me, that's where the pleasure comes in. So
I love this.
15-pound steelhead, almost as tall as your 7-year-old self. I caught thank you. Yeah. I caught a rainbow trout that was at a lake. It was lake fishing in New Mexico, outside of Red River. My family used to go to Red River, New Mexico every year, and we would go fishing down where the Rio Grande and Red River, the Rio Grande, and maybe the Colorado. There's a head where they all come together.
Okay.
And we would go fishing on the rapids down there, river fish. But there was a lake close by that we would go fish at when we didn't want, because it was like nearly a mile's worth of walking to get down into the gorge where the rivers come together to fish. And we did this lake fishing, and it was a lake that was had all the old fish hatchery, old fish they would come and stock the lake with all the fish that were beyond.
They probably had big fish in
there.
I
didn't know that like trout, when they get old, get that salmon beak to them, that big ball knotted at the end of the beak. And I caught one that was, for my age, I don't know how old I was, maybe 10 or 11 or something like that. And there's a picture of me and my grandfather holding it up, and I'm all hip into it to try to keep the weight up. And it wasn't as tall as I was, but for me, I was just like, oh my granddad ran out into the wake at the edge of the lake, 3, 4, 5 feet to make sure that fish didn't get away, because he was like, oh my God, we couldn't eat it. We caught and released it after we held it up, because it was just the hook had gotten underneath the beak.
Oh.
So he couldn't get out, because just a knot of bone-like material there, right? It's crazy.
That's awesome.
So this is tiny in comparison to that model that you showed, but this is what I did for just having like a coal fire, going inside of. This is a model that I developed that is just,
I love this model.
Hellacious Santa, right?
But
when doing stuff like this, the goal is to keep the hot, burning heat in between like the coals here, and then the coals themselves are dark, the orange around the rim of the coal, the yellow in between, right? And then you go from the yellow to the oranges to the deep orange on there. I didn't use any red here. This is all done with just yellows and orange, so it gives kind of a smoldering flame look. Red is something that can be used here, but typically I like to use the oranges and yellow to give it that kind of coal-fired, engine feel. And it works pretty well with just like 2 colors and a little bit of like pale yellow or something, to really give it that bright stuff, right?
That's cool. I love that.
Use sport fish, catch and release only. Yeah, we would only eat like the river trout that we caught. We would take enough rainbow. I think that's what was up there is rainbow trout, not brown. Maybe there's some brown, but and we would cook it up at camp for sure.
Shifter Bear says, thanks, that gives me a direction. Also looks like you finished your Christmas in July challenge.
Well, I'll just bring models back from the past from now on.
Somebody was saying
That's a great cheater way.
Somebody said my dad should just paint his tank and then put snow on it. Hey, it's Christmas theme. Whatever that means to you, get creative.
There you go. Cheaters. Bunch of filthy cheaters. Okay, freckles. Can you bring me up a say girl with freckles in Google? That way we don't get on too many FBI lists. Do something like girl with freckles. Give me some. I just want to know placement of freckles, because generally it's across like the sternum area into the cleavage, and then cheeks and around the pinch of the nose. I think. I don't really know that I want to do like full forehead or anything like that, but I want them to be. You thought hey, Freckles, would you look something up for me on Google?
Hey, Freckles.
He's now called Freckles. Freckles McGurk. All right. Oh, yeah, there's some good ones there. I'm thinking.
Oh, these are like deep freckles. This picture.
Yeah, it's a lot. That's a ginger. That's a redhead. Holy freckles. Oh, okay. So, oh no. I'm not seeing anything except face. Do we have anything like I'm not typically used to seeing them on the neck. I'm wondering, like on the chest, where do they start on the chest? Is it around the sternum and the collarbones? Is that where we get freckles again? I'm sure this is like how long is a piece of string? Oh yeah, that girl's got them like all over her neck too.
Yeah, this one.
Yeah. Okay, well, that tells me a lot. So it could be on the shoulders. We could have some freckling on the shoulders through the sternum. If we wanted, right?
Yeah. This one is, I think, an extreme example.
Yeah.
You want me to...
It's like leopard print, almost.
Let me just keep looking here. Kind of?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, now we're getting into more anatomy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you could go... like right here.
I kind of like that, right? Yeah. Perfect.
I'm going to keep this up.
Perfect. Okay. So I think the way I want to do this is, somebody mentioned warm brown before. I think either dark flesh or warm brown. Let's go with dark flesh.
Okay.
So they keep a little bit of a redishness to them. I was thinking warm flesh might work, or warm brown might work too, because it has that orangey nature to it. Yeah. But I think against the skin that I've got, I'm going to go with dark flesh for the freckles. Okay.
Yeah, I think that's a good call. Now, why are you choosing it to do it when her at this level of dark
Well, take a look at that picture you brought up.
Yeah.
Right? Freckles, again, are not always at the topical level of the skin.
Oh, that's true.
Right?
Yeah.
That coloration, that pigmentation is through all your dermal levels. And a dermatologist would know better than me, but they don't just sit on the top.
Yeah.
They're in the layeredness of your skin, right?
Yeah.
And so if I do it early, then I layer the highlight over the top. I'll get some dark and some light where the highlighted skin tone comes in, so that'll make it feel like it's in the mix of real skin. And then I can go back and define them better for darkness later on if I need to. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. Absolutely. Because you can always go back and redefine it. Because you don't want it to look like dots, just all on the top of her skin. So that makes sense.
Right. Yeah, because again, for me visually, and this may not work for everybody, but for me, I don't like the idea that they could be like paint droplets. You know, they really at some point in time feel like what you've done is you just have painted dots on the body.
Yeah.
So if you can hide them underneath the skin to some extent, right, then even better.
D-Fresh says, followed how you did the metallics on that previous Space Marine and really liked that process and how it came out. Plus no messy washes. Thanks for sharing. Yeah. D-Fresh, that next tutorial, we're just about to wrap up an entire week's worth of streams. I had Ryan compile a week's worth of this VOD when Jason did all the massive detailing on the tank weathering. That was quite a bit. That's coming out probably the beginning of next week, so stay tuned for that. But then we're doing the Ultramarine workup, so I'm glad you found some value out of that. If you all missed that, go check out the VODs from a couple weeks ago when we did the Ultramarine. You'll see the progression in the VOD's thumbnail on the live tab on YouTube. I think you're all going to like the weathering one.
The hardest things in the world is to make stuff feel random.
Yeah.
Your brain is so in tune with orderly things that randomness is hard to do. Especially for me, because I always find myself working more back into symmetric patterns.
Yeah, interesting.
You know, and that makes it kind of rough sometimes to do things like freckles that are no order to them.
Could you? No, I was about to say, could you use a sponge for this?
I feel like you get too much streaking from the sponge. You don't get enough dots.
Yeah.
So that would be my only fear in doing so. Is it possible? Sure. Nothing's impossible. I just feel like maybe you get a texture that doesn't feel as genuine as, dotting. Like
great question. Silver says, whenever I dry brush, it always either leaves streaks of paint or doesn't apply enough paint at all. Trying to figure out how to get the sweet spot.
I answered a bunch of those questions with regards to that on the YouTube video, because that was where a lot of people's brains went, as they were like, hey, I either get it really dusty or not enough, paint at all.
Check this video out.
What do I have to do? And the reality is just controlling that paint on the brush. The same way what I'm doing right now takes me making sure I don't have so much material that when I poke the brush into the model, it leaves a big old droplet, right? Because that upsets the goal, right?
Yep.
So that's starting to look pretty good. But it really is. I call it seasoning the brush. When you take a dry brush, the first, whether it's a domed or a flat dry brush, the first time I put it in the paint, it's going to load a lot of paint up, but that paint's all going to be wet. I haven't had it. There hasn't been enough time for to dry in the brush or to get heavier in the brush, so to speak. So I'll wipe a bunch of it off on the paper towel. Then I'll do a little bit on the model, but it won't apply as much paint because I've taken a bunch of it out. There's not a lot left in the brush. And then you go back without cleaning the brush. You go back to the paint. do it all over again. By about the second or third time you've done that, now you've built up enough material in the brush that when you dry brush, you're getting that effect. You're getting those paint particles that are deep inside the brush. When you're dry brushing, you're not painting. You can paint with just there's like a weird hair on it. You can paint with the paint that's just at the tip of the brush. We call that smudge brushing, or I call that smudge brushing. Right? It's no longer dry brushing if you're using the the paint that's at the surface, like when we use a normal brush for painting. You're really wanting the paint that's like down in here, right? So as you knock the brush against the model, you're really getting the paint that's here because you wiped all this off. But you're wiping this and pushing paint further into the brush. So the first time doesn't push enough for it to work really well. The second time, when you don't clean it, you have the leftover paint from the first pass. You wipe off the paint at the top and you push more paint down. And then when you dry brush, you're getting more of that paint from this kind of mid-range area of the brush that is starting to dry. So you can start to see where as that mid-band of paint in the brush starts to dry, it starts to do the work of what we really call dry brushing. Now the problem with that is that if you go too long, that paint in the body of the brush gets so dry that it turns into that flaky powder that causes dust, and that dust still has adhesive properties because it's not fully cured paint, but it's dry enough that it puffs. Like if you hit the edge, a sharp edge, it puffs and you can see a little cloud of paint.
Happens to me all the
And
time.
that creates speckling and over nasty buildup and texture on the model that you can't just wipe and get rid of because it's stuck to the model. It's like little dots. And so you have to ride that fine line of, is my paint seasoned just right? And then rinse the brush out and start over. Knowing that the first time you do it with a dry brush, it's not going to do what you want. The second time gets better. The third time's great. The fourth time's great. The fifth time starts being a little flaky, and then you want to rinse the brush. So I typically will do like 4 or 5 passes on the paint with the dry brush, and then I'll rinse it out real quick, dry it off real good, and start over and season the brush up through 3 or 4 passes again, and it gets great. Then go do it again and again and again. That is for real traditional dry brushing, where all I'm trying to do is catch raised areas. If you're trying to apply more paint and do more of a smudge brush, then having the brush a little damp, hitting it on a little bit of a wet sponge, not to where it drips water, but it's just a little damp, and then doing all of that process helps because it keeps the paint wet longer. So then when you do the coloring, you're going to get color over a bigger surface because the paint's actually wetter and diluted a little bit. So keep at it.
The mo you know.
Keep at it.
I'll be right back. I have to use the restroom.
Aha! Potty break for Chris.
Yesterday.
Yeah, she's got freckles like on the clavicle too, so I don't mind that. That's good. Don't leave it open. Nice thing is it's a human skin, so you can say, well, it's just what it is. I do it how I want. That's fine. I like the idea of some on the shoulder too. Maybe not as heavy. This is barely touching the point of this brush. I'm still using a number 1, so it's still a fairly large brush. Start spacing the dots out a little further as they get towards the area I don't want to continue with freckles in. Always this is the hard part, remember to come back in and do some that are tightly nested together at very small dots. And a lot of these won't survive as anything other than just light blotches of color underneath our next pass of paint, but that's okay because that just gives it more of a realistic depth to what we're doing.
Bushman says, I know you guys are doing skin, but would dark gray blue, and white blue, then bold titanium white be a good work for ice fissures / crags?
Sounds good.
You know what's funny? I like that. Like, yeah, sounds good to me. I love it when chat will do this awesome workup, right? They'll make up this awesome workup and then be like, hey, you guys think this is a good idea? And it's this beautiful idea for a workup. And I'm like, heck yeah, it does. Sounds great.
That's the best part. I get inspiration from chat the same way
Yes.
inspiration hopefully gets chat, or chat gets inspiration from us.
Dark gray blue.
Dark gray blue is a nice ice color because it's very desaturated into that gray spectrum. It doesn't give you that bright blue. I think when painting ice, the things you want to stay away from are things that are too blue. So
Otherwise, it gets too cartoony and not real.
yeah, and there's times for that, right?
Yeah.
Like if you're doing your Earthworm Jim diorama, which is never going to get done, and then you, oh, sorry. Was that my outside voice?
Did you?
I'm sorry. I'm very sorry. I didn't mean to call you out like that.
What?
Live in front of all of our
speaking
people.
of Whittle Goblin rating with 82.
What is going on, Whittle?
Thank you so much, Raiders. Welcome in. Oh, it's getting done, Jason.
But then you can do, like, you can choose, just know that the more vibrant colors you use when doing snow and ice outside of white. White has a high vibrancy, obviously, because of its value, but it isn't necessarily the, hey, Whitty. Hey, goblins. What's going on, everybody? Painting Surfer Girl. And I'm doing freckles. Gonna pop in close?
Yeah. Nice.
This is our mid-tone skin layer, and I'm showing how I would do the freckling now at that mid-tone level before I glaze the highlights on so that the freckles get sunk underneath the skin.
Yeah.
The larger, darker ones will come to the surface, and then I can go back and pick some of those to darken up, but I'll have that translucent skin feel, which is how we've done this. If you go back and look at the VODs on this, we started painting her. She was in these colors.
Yeah. Go check out Monday's VOD. We started with a
the whole model was colored like that.
yeah.
And then yesterday, we did that on Monday, and then yesterday we glazed the skin tones on, and now I'm doing a little bit of freckling before moving into the highlights. You'll see the remnants of some of the purples and the reds as we go around, and shadows and midtones and things like that to build structure in the skin, give it more life than you will if you're just using a dark flesh, mid-tone flesh, and bright flesh. So a little bit more of an advanced process here.
Nice. Woody says, summer vibes. It gets super freckly in the summer. I haven't thought about putting them on a model. That's so fun.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. I didn't know we were going to go in that direction either, so this is actually
Well,
really
Jen
cool.
brought it up when she was sitting in here on our birthday stream.
Right.
She loved the model, and she was like, oh, you should give her freckles.
That's awesome.
You know, I am always a fan. So
Plus, it'll be cool as you start to go up in skin tones and such like that to see how they come to life even more.
like I mentioned, the hardest thing with freckles for me is the randomness of them, because my brain is hardwired to be orderly. I think you wouldn't know it by looking at like my desk and stuff, but
wait a minute.
Yeah, it feels wrong to even say that out loud, but the reality is there. It really is. Like, I want to see things in symmetric lines, or it doesn't have to be symmetry like, you know, perfect geometric symmetry, but if I've got an angle on one side, I want that same angle on the other side, you know. So it begins to be tough for me to do it. So I typically, in order to overcome that, I will do some dots in an area like here on the side of the cheek and start working in some quick textures, and then I'll move down to the laugh line, you know, and start doing some there. So now I've created a pattern in one area, back in the other area, then I come back to this area, maybe make a bigger one there on the cheek, maybe get her a couple on the chin, but I want to kind of stay towards the cheek area mainly. Nest a couple closer together.
Wow, it's already 3:15. Welcome in, everybody. We're so glad you're here. Where have you been?
Up and close as I do this, just so people can see my patterning and stuff. Otherwise, a bunch of it gets completely lost. Right, because I'm making a ton of teeny weeny dots.
That's a scientific term there.
Teeny weeny dots.
Teeny weeny. Teeny weeny.
That is a copyrighted song. We don't.
I don't know what you're talking about. Fun, sun in the sun, surfing the United States of America waves. You're welcome. That was the best musical rendition of any song you've ever heard. So,
and it was creatively your own.
Was it? Is anything ever original? Who knows? Yeah. Oh, yeah. I know it when I hear it. For everybody who has not seen the progression of this thus far, check out this whole week's VODs on YouTube on the live tab. You can go back and see where this thing started and where she is at now. a beautiful progression.
Yesterday
from
was fun because yesterday is
you come
that
to life phase.
that OMG phase. If you've never seen us go through the process of painting underpainted colors and glazing over the top. Yesterday would have been a great show for you to go back and watch. You get to see that what in the world is this crazy old man doing?
Yeah.
And then have it turn into something that you're like, oh,
Yep.
that's interesting. So I don't know how much freckling goes up like onto the forehead. Any?
Let me. It depends. You know, like when I type that in, you get a huge gamut of, like this one. See this? Yes, totally does.
Oh yeah, we can.
Right. Right here. Here's another example of the freckles going up. You come up a little bit.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. So see her. This is almost like exactly.
Yeah. I like it.
Yep.
That works.
Freckles are very, very interesting.
It's these types of things that we forget to paint because we work at such scales where it doesn't work, right?
Yeah.
It's like at 28 millimeter, freckles just don't. It looks like, you know, what? You'd have a bird dookie on their face or something. It's like you're not going to get dots small enough to pull it off. The scale isn't right. It just isn't worth trying.
Yeah.
But when you're dealing at a scale like a bust, you know, anything 75 to 105 millimeter, 1/6 scale larger, you know, then all of a sudden you've got this playground where you can bring life to your model even without having to think in terms of underpainting and all the things we've been talking about. You can bring life to the model with details like this.
Yes.
That are realistic in the sense that, oh, of course, freckles. Freckles seem real. Freckles are not something that I see all the time in models.
Kyle Kinghorn, that singing, woof, wow, buried me alive in public, Kyle.
How about that?
That's really cool. Yeah, you don't get to do this often at this, especially at this scale.
No, and not every model's right for it, right? Because I mean, I guess every model could be right for it. It's not like freckles are specific to any type of model or situation or storytelling. But it definitely has a vibe, like Whitty was saying, you know, of like a summer vibe.
Yeah.
And you know, something like this is just perfect for it.
Right.
So, you know, whereas I might not have thought about this on a demon lady, you know.
Well, but that actually would be kind of cool because I could also see this being painted like with red devil skin and then doing like
freckles.
That's really cool.
That's a neat kind of uncanny valley thing when you bring stuff that, you know, my sister has freckles. This isn't my sister, or maybe it is. When you're painting a demon, you know, depending on how much you like your sister. But yeah, I'm a big fan of that kind of stuff. When you have, you know, like a Nurgle or a zombie, and you give it an attribute that is clearly very life-like and human. It puts a reality to it that's very different sometimes than what, you know, just painting a zombie or a monster or a demon would be normally.
Yeah. Giving it a little bit more of that extra backstory.
Yeah, well, and making the brain go, oh, like that could have been my neighbor. You know?
That could have been that's my neighbor.
Yeah.
The jolly grandfather Nurgle?
For me,
it's my grandpa.
For me, it brings a sense of immersion. You know,
that's what the stories are all about, right?
Past just, you know, there being, you know, this funky monster that I have no idea why it even exists. Now you've got it to where it has some form of, everybody can relate to it.
Whitty says, sort of like magical realism, but with models, super fun world building.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, visually you can tie things in because you might take this model is one of those, you know, we call them slice of life models that I don't really get intrigued by all the time, believe it or not. It just doesn't take me into the world of escapism. I got this one. I picked this one up at the Contrast Festival this year because it was a great way to do skin tutorial, right? It's very rare that you get a model that is, you know, not Conan or some barbarian dude that has enough flesh for you to really do work like this and show the depth of how coloration across all the various parts of the skin go. And so this was great. Plus she holds a surfboard, right? If you haven't seen this full model, she's holding a longboard.
Yep.
Right.
Super cool.
So she's got this nice freehand surface that we're going to do, like with some cool surf graphics on it. And then the skin tutorial is really great too. So perfect model for that. But I don't normally get into slice of life, and so you find ways to do that storytelling in your escapist models that allow people to have some recognition when you're showing them a Nurgle model, and your grandmother doesn't know anything about Nurgle, but you want to share something you did maybe that was cool, right? I get this story all the time. It's like, I showed my wife or I showed my husband this, and they don't know anything about this, but they can appreciate the art. And if you can find a way to tie it back in, the zombie that has the mom tattoo is like a favorite, right? It's like, oh, now I get it. I get it. Whatever this was used to be human, or used to be something I could relate to. So I understand the storytelling there visually rather than you having to sit there and explain, okay, so what this is it's, you're the meme. You're the dude with the lines. And the...
Witty, take it easy.
See you, Witty.
Have a good one. Thanks for the raid. Always appreciate that.
And welcome in, everybody. If you're not familiar who we are Monument Hobbies. We make this wonderful paint called Procryl. We tell really bad fart jokes.
I've never told a bad joke in my entire life.
You've told way bad jokes, Chris. Sorry to break it to you, buddy.
What? Right now? Publicly?
Yeah.
Come on, man.
Come on, man.
How would you convey water or rain on skin? In this case, like coming out of the water, or something like a fisherman caught in a storm says, that chai cat.
We get asked this quite frequently. It is one of the hardest things to produce because it's going to take either you being able to paint that reflective surface material like non-metallic metal like an absolute champ, right?
Yeah.
To pull off the shininess that will make it look wet, because when things get wet, they reflect like metal or shine and polished surface because water reflects light. And so you can paint it like that and not have to worry about effects. Or you can use things like gloss varnish. Gloss varnish as a paint, if you don't thin it, can go in and make dots. And the way that I tell people is the most effective is to think in terms of what it looks like after the rain has stopped, right? What does a fisherman's raincoat look like after the spray of water has hit him off the side of the boat? He's slick, but there's droplets of water because the surface tension of water is high enough that it starts pulling back into droplets very quickly across the surface that it's attached to, right? So you can imagine like putting little droplets of gloss varnish all over the place. Face, skin, you can sheet in areas with the gloss varnish, but then doing a lot of dots of gloss varnish makes it feel like those dots are specific things like droplets of water, as opposed to just painting half the model with gloss varnish and assuming people are going to say, oh, it's wet. It looks unfinished is what it does. It doesn't look wet. It looks bad. So rain and wet are very, very difficult to do.
Blood Walrus says, this conversation reminds me of the guy who did the demon and painted the great clean one.
Yeah,
I
he's
love that model.
it's all shaven.
It's just like a
it looks like Buddha.
Yeah, it does. It looks like
except with the Nurgle face.
Nurgle Buddha is what it looks like.
Exactly, Nurgle Buddha.
Yesterday, those ratlings have little coffee cups, and one of them has coffee. So yesterday I put petroleum, I put like dark umber, and then heavy warm white, and just a dot of it. Came out great.
Oh, yeah, nice.
But I'm going to put some gloss varnish in the top, just because I'm like, oh, it kind of looks like, what's it missing? Because it's a liquid.
And if it's contained in a cup, now it tells a story because you expect the shine of liquid.
Yes.
So you can pull that off. The thing that's hard is that you have to be careful if you've done other things like non-metallic on a model and then you use a varnish, because one is an effort and one is effortless. And effort versus effortless don't match well in painting. And by what I mean by that is if you go in, like, let's say you're painting a corn demon, right, holding a big axe, and what you really wish it had was a chain wrapped around its arm that held the axe in place.
Yeah.
And so you go to the hobby store, to Michael's, and you buy some jewelry chain.
Yeah.
That fake gold jewelry chain, right?
Yep.
And then you take that chain and you super glue it around, and you're like, yeah, that's rad, that's exactly what I want, but you don't paint the chain.
Yeah.
I can't tell you the amount of times people have spent effort to paint the model and then put the doohickey on it.
I do that.
And because the doohickey was already gold, and I wanted it gold, effortless.
Yeah.
The problem is you spent effort on everything else to make it look a particular way, and the effortless part doesn't look the same. And so it's the same way if you build a diorama and on it you put like aquarium plants.
Yeah.
And your aquarium plants aren't painted. A lot of people gripe at me because I paint my basing tufts.
No,
because the basing tuft is a piece of nylon, plastic, that's been dyed, it's not painted, and it's a green color. And when I put it on the base, unless I'm going fast, if I'm going fast, don't care. Put it on there, done.
Yeah.
Right? If I want the model to look good, I paint the basing tufts. I put them on early, I prime over them, and then I paint them up from scratch. Why? Because the paint will look like I did it, like the rest of the model does, as opposed to being cheap plastic crap I bought at the aquarium store and put a leaf on my base, 100%. And that's cheap plastic. This looks rad, that detracts from it. So just be careful with that kind of stuff.
That was the problem I had with my Sylvaneth, where I wanted all that flocking. And I love how it came out, but now that I'm on this side of it, I'm like, I've considered going back and doing those because I would have airbrushed all of those.
All the things I tell people when basing is to look for it for its shape and its texture first, not its color. Don't ever use anything raw from nature. Don't ever, you think, oh, but that's a real stick. I can't paint it any more realistic than that. But nothing else on your model is painted as realistic either because you also did that. So make it match in its unrealism to pull the whole scene together.
Yeah.
It's those little juxtapositions, and lots of people think differently than that. They're like, but that's a real rock. How can you tell me that doesn't fit the scene? It's real rock from my backyard.
I know, dude.
And I'm like, because it doesn't look like the rest of your paint job.
Yep,
right?
100%.
None of your paint job looks real. It's like the banners. You'll see people that'll have their painted miniature,
and then
they'll take an image that they buy on a sheet of transfer sheet that has this amazing, like the old Forge World ones had these amazing artwork pieces on them, and you put that on the banner, and then you had your painted miniature.
And then my miniature looks like...
How horrible is that? That you put all this effort into it, and now you put something on the banner that doesn't look like it exists in the same world as the miniature you spend all the time painting. So I'm very...
No, that's a good point.
I'm curious in that realm, but I'm very careful when I suggest those things because it's like the water thing is very tough to pull off. I think the fisherman in the clothes, if you know it's a fisherman, you know it's in a wet environment, let that be the story.
Yeah.
You don't have to necessarily tell that story. Now, if you want a really solid example of wet, and this is crazy, is Eric Swinson just won at World Model Expo with a model by Victor Aguilar too, which is a model that shows a pirate being dragged under the water by a siren.
What's that? What did it? World
Model Expo. He won Best of Show Fantasy for it, and it is spectacular with how he used the reflective idea of waves on the surface and how it would reflect the light or refract the light through it, and the shadows that would cause on the models. But nothing looks wet. It's the idea of the models makes it, you know that it's underwater because of the way the light is used.
This isn't real.
It's real. Yeah.
What?
Spectacular model. Yeah, absolutely spectacular model and paint job.
This one?
Yep, that's it.
Holy Moses.
See, there's nothing done to make it look wet other than the lighting, right? So, yeah, it's spectacular.
Cool. Wild.
You need to learn how to do that light scatter technique he did. What do you mean light scatter technique? He just has the shine of the ripples of the waves painted on there, right?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, great job.
Chanky, yeah, can we have Chris put a link to the image up there? Can you do that, Chris?
Which one?
Put a link to that image in chat.
Yeah,
we don't usually put links up. We don't want people to be afraid to click stuff, but this is a good one.
I think you mean to his.
To that image.
Oh, yeah, his, okay.
So people can see, because nobody could see what you were showing me.
Oh, I see. Yeah, I'm making sure it was the correct one. That's his Facebook one. He put it on his Facebook and his Instagram. Super cool. Wow. Interesting. Derpstick said, found some... let me actually go back. There was... What color... to recap, what color are those freckles again? What color are you using?
Dark flesh.
Dark flesh. Okay. Do you guys have any tips on painting 1,000 suns? We have 1,000 ways to paint
Lots of yellow.
Suns. Oh.
Oh, O-N-S, sorry. That was a dad joke.
Oh.
Well, you didn't even know what you were doing the thing for.
No, I didn't. But I said we have 1,000 ways to do that.
The, as always, it depends on the coloring, right? Thousand Suns in the old 30K world were in that ruby red, which I think transfers really well. One of the things I've never understood about 40K and 30K is why bands of chaos people would change the color of their armor to all match. It's not very chaotic.
Yeah.
So let's assume you're doing the blue for 40K. Then as far as coloring goes, a dark purple to start with is a really good base. Then moving into blue and turquoise as your midtones and highlights works really well. And then you can darken that up with weathering and chipping if you want it to look a little bit more beat up and war-torn. You can obviously go with more desaturated blues if you don't want that kind of GW Canon look of Thousand Suns. Thousand Suns have that weird turquoisey blue look, right? And then just gold and bone color, and you're done. in most cases. I think a lot of people like to use like a burgundy-ish kind of wine-colored red for like cloth and things, which I think looks really good. Found some plastic dead trees and trunks for dioramas. I'll definitely prime it and paint it before gluing it onto the vase. Definitely, yeah. What browns would be good for the trees? Because the environment will be winter. Would that affect the color of the wood? You know, it can and doesn't have to. I think in winter you think of things as being dry and dead. Yeah. So I think making sure that as you move up to the bark level, you desaturate the brown with some grays feels good. But there's no reason why you can't also use just straight brown tree. And for colors, I just like, you know, dark umber, light umber, and olive flesh highlights. But in place of olive flesh, I might use like neutral gray. Yeah. And mix it in with the light umber, so that you can kind of get that you know, not dead, but that dry bark feel of winter. You know, because all the leaves fall. Yeah. And, you know, now if you're painting something like an aspen trees go to bright neutral gray and dark, you know, black brown kind of colors. So you can play around with all sorts of stuff. You think it was a lore thing after Armin messed up with the Legion? Oh, sorry, my spell turned him blue. It's the dumbest thing. It just, oopsie. It doesn't matter to me what story they come up with. The fact that chaos is all about wearing the same colors and the same doohickeys on their armor is the least chaotic thing in the world.
It's very uniform.
Yeah. The last thing chaos would do, the last thing the Black Legion would do was dress the same. Hey, dude, you don't have enough flair.
The uniform.
You need 15 more pieces of flair on that uniform.
The uniform Legion.
Says Abaddon to his soldiers.
Armin, first time chat, welcome in. I love the way you paint skin. I wonder how it would work for very pale skin. And what if I wanted to do some parts more flushed?
Oh, we're still in the process. Remember, this is literally just the base coats of skin over our underpainting, right? Yeah. So we've got those yellows, those purples, and those reds showing through for our flush areas, but the skin's still fairly dark. I'm planning on going next into a brighter skin tone. Yeah. To get more shine and warmth onto it. So yeah, definitely. Yeah. Right, this is simply the burnt umber and the advanced flesh tone so far over the base coats.
Keep your reality out of my fantasy. I don't know about that.
I'm just saying, Mo. I'm just saying. You'll think about it too now. You won't be able to go to sleep. Like, wait a minute.
It's in the name, chaos.
Why are chaos so uniform?
Oh, maybe that's the whole thing, man.
Chaos is a lie. It is the whole thing. It is the whole. That's why it's heresy.
Chaos is uniform, man.
All you guys are just fooling yourselves.
There
is no chaos.
I don't play no chaos.
There is no chaos. It's all just a bunch of people that think they're cool.
Yeah.
They're not really cool. Not like my team. All right. Yeah, so let's go. I said I wanted to show you how I would mix because all through this we've been using water as a glaze medium. That's it. So I haven't used any types of mediums. And for those of you that might be interested in trying to underpaint and then glaze as an overpaint to achieve something like flesh tones, I can show you how I would do what I've been doing, but with a medium.
Now, this is going to sound like a very flat out simple question, but why? Why would you choose to not just use water and then do the mix? Why would you do a mix at all?
So the reality becomes one where you have, I'm going to use tan flesh, I think, is a lot of people have trouble when we dilute for opacity, right? When it's a weird language thing in terms of when we say thin your paint. Why are you thinning your paint, right? If you're doing the too thin coats thing, it's because the paint was too thick to begin with and shouldn't have been that way. You shouldn't have to do that. The paint should go on in one coat or as close to it as you need to because it should feel not gloopy. So there's that thinning because I have to, because it's thick paint, and if I don't, I see brush strokes and it piles up and it feels weird, like painting with snot. That doesn't feel good. Yeah. If you over thin and this is viscosity we're talking about, so thick paints don't feel right, because we want them to have a smoothness to them when they lay and dry on the model, so they don't hide detail and such. So you thin thicker paints so that they lay on the model smooth and go on smooth. So that's fine. Then you take that and you dilute too much, and now it feels like water. It's too runny. Yeah. And again, we're talking about viscosity here. And when you thin too much, it gets watery and runny, and now it doesn't cover the way you want to. It goes into the crevices and pulls pigment to where you didn't want it, like in between the chainmail and the panel lines on your tank if it's too thin, and you're like, oh, I messed up all that darkness with bright colors. So the hard thing when glazing is that a lot of people lose that feel of viscosity. And so what a medium does to allow you to adjust the opacity of the paint, but have it feel like paint the whole time, it doesn't get watery that way, because we're still putting material into it that spreads the pigment out further, that lets you see through it, which lowers the opacity. That's what you're doing, right? And so if we do it that way with something that isn't water, then the paint feels like paint. And for a lot of people that are newer, I'm having a real hard time here. Do I want to go with bright shadow flesh, tan flesh, or dark warm flesh? It feels right. I'm doing sunnier skin outside, so the warmth of these tend to cool it off a little bit.
Yeah, I see. Maybe these two, I don't know.
I think I'm going to go with the dark warm flesh. We're going to mix it with the advanced flesh tone. So I'm not mentioning that, but that's the key, right? So anyway, here I'll show you how to glaze and be able to overcome the feeling that, oh, I just don't ever get it right because it's too thin, it runs all over the model, it gets chalky and cloudy, and I'm never happy with it. Here's the way you do that.
Yeah.
Okay. So we'll take some advanced flesh tone, which is the last color we used on her, and I'm going to make probably more paint than I need here. I know I am, because I just squirted out however much that is, right? Scientific measuring tools here.
That would be a skosh.
Is that a skosh?
That's a skosh.
A skosh seems to change.
No. Skosh is bigger than this one.
Yeah.
In our next video, we have defined some units of measures here at Monument Hobbies, but that was not
I'm
a
going to
skosh.
kind of give you a 50-50-ish. Feels 50-50.
50-50. Okay.
1 to 1. One skosh to another.
It's a pinch.
For a pinch. A dash.
A tidbit.
A tidbit.
I like that hairdo. Hairdo.
It's a tidbit. I need the blue cap. Ta-da! The magic in the mix. It's a pico, a tidbit, a pinch.
It's a pico. It's a
smidge.
A left, a driplet, if you will. A driplet, a droplet.
All right. So on this one, this is very important that you make sure you do this measurement. It's why we use a graded cup. If you look, this has in fluid ounces, and it starts at 1/8, and then 1/4, and then 1/2, 3/4, and 1. This is 1 fluid ounce in total, and I need you to understand what we're about to do here is put in that much, maybe that much. Okay, that looks maybe a little more. Okay, cool. Very scientific.
Very scientific.
What I'm trying to show you here in a tongue-in-cheek manner is it doesn't matter. Your color matters because you want to get the right color. So mix your color first and test it out and then put that in here. And then the amount of glaze wash medium can be overcome if you put too much by adding in more of your color. What you can't overcome is too much color versus the opacity control that you're using in the medium. If it's still too opaque and you go put it on your model, you're messed.
Yep.
You can't erase it. You got too much color. Well, it's time to fix that. You know. So if I go where I don't have as much color because I put enough medium in there to lower the opacity to a point, and I don't know where we are until we mix it. But if I put too much medium, that's not a problem. I can either add more paint or do another layer.
Yeah.
Right. So you'll hear me say that all the time. That's how I like to think in terms of painting, is that we're always looking for ways that we can keep things erring on the side of too transparent and be safe with understanding you could do another layer over it, even though it takes you some more time, than to not make it transparent enough and ruin your work. And so you want to test, and this is where it is very crucial to have hand tattoos. So you can test your opacity.
You can't paint unless you have hand tattoos.
You can't glaze well.
Thank you. I'm sorry. You're right.
You can paint.
You can paint, and you'll dance.
And you'll dance.
But not well.
But Do
So
not go get hand
you're
tattoos.
severely, you are severely.
I don't want a whole bunch of mothers, wives, husbands, significant others, family members, concerned workers, concerned coworkers.
But this
coming
man
after me.
on the internet was like, "You need hand tattoos to paint."
I want to be a good painter, damn it! And this guy told me. Okay, so that's pretty good. That is, if you pop in, that's pretty good transparency.
Yeah.
Right? I can see my tattoo underneath it, but I have a good control of color. Now I know that with just water on the brush, I can be in good shape, but I have a good color. I have enough to mess with, so now I've made it. Now I just put a little bit of water on the brush. Come over here and check it out. Boom. Glaze.
It's a glaze. It's a glaze.
Right? So we've made a glaze that is a product now that isn't runny. I still want to take a bunch of material off, right? Because I don't want to go with a big glob of color no matter what's happening. But now I have this that is a thin enough color that I can start going over the top of what I've done before.
And no water in this one.
And no water. Every brush stroke feels really good. The paint stays right where I put it. This can help give you the control to start mastering glazing and not feel like you are dealing with such a runny paint that you got to spend 10 years and 10,000 hours is the joke, right? That you can't be a pro at anything without 10,000 hours.
Michael Holt said, I told the wife I need a hand tattoo. She laughed. I could hear Michael, honey, I need a hand tattoo.
All right. The guy on the internet says,
this guy, yeah, Jason says I need one.
Says, get good, scrub, hand tattoos or bust.
That's awesome.
Right?
This is something that I haven't mastered yet, is this mixture of glaze and wash medium to paint. And I think from what Jason has taught me, and now hopefully teaching you, Chad, is that like I never put that I don't ever put enough glaze and wash medium in. I just don't, because I'm worried that it's going to get rid of my paint.
Yeah, it doesn't though. Look, you're always going to have the color. The glaze and wash is clear.
Right.
What you're going to have to do is put more layers on. And you can see, like, the way I'm working with this is that I'm looking at it and saying, I'm happy with this. I'm happy with putting more layers on because of what I'm doing working on skin. But maybe you're not. Maybe you're like, oh, that's too thin. That's not going to let me get this army done quick enough, and so you put more paint in. But you can put more paint in. You can put the first layer on the model like this and be perfectly happy with the way it goes on. It's not going to mess anything up. You just may say, oh, no, I would like to have more color per brush stroke. And if that's the case, then you go back and add more paint to the mix and do another layer that way.
Yeah.
Right? Done deal.
You can always add more later.
You can't take it away.
I can't get that in my brain.
We don't work in a world where you can erase stuff easily.
Amen, brother.
Can you go back and fix it? Sure.
Yeah.
You've seen me fix stuff before where we got to go back and tear shoulder pads off of sanguineous and
yes,
work backwards from that. And yeah, sure. So you can do all sorts of stuff. That's not a problem. It just becomes an issue where what do you want to be spending your time on?
Yeah.
Right? I don't want to be fixing problems I've created for myself as much as I want to be moving to the next part of the model.
You're just sharing really good life advice right now.
Yeah.
Like, hey, just don't create yourself problems. Nibling says, would a tramp stamp make me a better painter?
Yes, 100%. As long as you can check opacity on it. You might have to have a painting partner for that.
Could you imagine if that was your method? Like, well, wait a second.
They said I needed these tattoos.
In post, Chris's favorite way to fix it. False, Punisher. Banned.
Banned.
Kicked. Removed. Canceled. Ejected. Foul play. All of the above. As long as it says, no, it's not tough but fair, Northrax. Harsh but fair. Harsh but fair. I will get that tattooed on my, right underneath my eyelids, I've decided. Like right on my cheeks. Harsh but fair. Gotta happen, chat.
Remember the day we had a guy here named Christian who worked for us for a while.
Oh, yeah.
And the day Christian came in with the pizza triangle under his eye where people would put a tear if they were in prison and he had a slice of pizza. I'm like, why? He goes, because I'm the pizza killer. I can kill a slice of pizza. That was his whole thing. I was like,
all right, I'll give you that one.
Okay, then. Totally understand. That makes sense to me. I guess.
I'm the pizza killer.
I am the slayer of pizza. I've killed a pizza. I'm like, well, there's not really any arguing that.
All right. Fair play. Dear Jason, says Spaznat. Dear, oh no, not dear Jason. You're talking to your dear. Dear, Jason said you need a tramp stamp so I can paint better. Now I'm looking for a place to sleep.
Well, I'm okay with all of this so long as nobody gets my email or phone number in this conversation.
All right, everybody get their pens and paper out.
I'm going to give you
Let me
some
publicly
privileged
give him
information here. Here is Jason's home address.
Well, that's my choice. My choice wife lays on the work table or puts her foot up there. Hey, that's all right, Michael Holtz. We tried.
That's the perfect color combo.
Yeah. That's really working it.
Yeah.
Avian says, since we're talking about tattoos on models and I'm working on free-handed letters, what is the hardest letter for freehanding? The hardest letter?
S.
Oh, I have not attempted freehand at that level. I shouldn't say that. I've painted a couple signs. And when I mean signs, there was little signs on my models.
I think S.
Okran says,
anything with too many
painter.
curves. Curves are hard with a paintbrush because you can't do them in one brush stroke. You have to rotate the model or stop and start and quarter the curve. And that just makes it harder and harder to work around all the time.
Okran says, I'm the painter, so William is getting the stamp. Yeah, hey, then you can have William.
Hey, we can let him know. Hey!
he can hang out right by you as you're painting, and you're like, Let me check my opacity.
Can you grab that down on the floor for me? I dropped the soap.
Drop those trousers, son.
I just dropped the soap. Pick that up for me.
Oh my gosh. Speaking of dropping soap,
welcome everybody.
We're so glad you all are here with us right now in this moment in time. It is currently 3:48 p.m. Mountain Standard Time here in Phoenix, and that is a unit of measuring time.
It isn't a unit of measuring
in the United
time.
States of America, not an oil company.
It's not a unit of measuring
It is
time.
currently, drum roll please.
Oh, Jesus. This never stops.
116 outside. Holy schmokes.
Holy
I can't
schmokes.
believe our building's not on fire.
I am not interested in going out there.
And we are so glad you are here painting the skin. If you have missed this workup thus far, we started this gal from start to now. That's how things typically work in life. On Monday, and then yesterday we did some glazing, and today we're doing some more glazing and freckles. And now we're here.
The way it works.
How do you know I'm really here, says Tadpole Jackson. How do you know I'm really here? Question mark. I don't know if you're really here.
We don't know.
Hey, here's an idea for a contest. We can submit freehand work to Jason to pick which gets tattooed on Chris.
Done.
No.
Oh.
I won't do it.
He gets to be part of this?
Do I get to be... I would do that. I would highly consider it. Maybe that's the last thing in the survey. So
Is what tattoo you should get?
Yeah.
I don't think you're brave enough for that.
For Jason to give me a tattoo for
no,
tramp
to get
stamp?
a tattoo like that.
What of what?
That exactly.
I would get
whatever
one.
chat decides you need a tattoo of. I don't think you're brave enough to just put it in your survey and be like, chat, whatever you choose here.
Oh, no. No, I am not that brave. You're getting options. You're getting multiple choice on that, chat.
Oh,
I'm not.
It's not a fill in the blank.
I'm not insane. Yeah, I don't want the worst things possible. You have to choose.
I just learned today that the University of Scottsdale
Scottsdale Community College?
Yeah, with the fighting artichokes.
You know, that's where I went.
You need that then on your as your
I went to
stamp.
Scottsdale Community College.
Did you?
You're
an artichoke?
I'm an artichoke, baby!
Oh my God, there literally are the fighting artichokes, chat.
Heck yeah.
And you need to Google this because the mascot is awesome.
He's dope. Artie!
Is it? I guess so.
His name's Artie the Artichoke, baby.
Of course it is.
He's actually... So the story behind that, right? My alma mater,
So good. I heard this story.
It's because they didn't want to encourage sports.
Right. They thought they were going to be like a liberal arts college only.
Yep.
And when they decided to get sports, everybody's mad and said that, well, in the bylaws, it says that the naming convention for the mascot has to be through vote.
Yep.
And so they all got together and did something
and
silly.
Now it's the funnest mascot out there, dude.
It's awesome. Like, I applaud that whole thing wholeheartedly. I think that's incredible.
It was fun.
Great way for the student body to make sure that they had some say in what they didn't enjoy.
It was green, and they made the colors bad.
Green and gold.
Green, gold, and pink was the
God,
third accent.
horrible.
It was, but people got into it, right? I gotta say that was one of the best. It's a great college. I met a lot of cool people there. I worked there. I literally worked there while I was going there.
That's awesome. I just loved it. Jen brought it up at lunch today, and I was like, no way.
Yeah.
Or actually, Grant brought it up, I think, and then Jen piled in with the story of how it all happened, and I was like, no way. And then we looked it up, and it's like, holy cow, that's awesome.
Can you come down a little bit? Yeah, it was so fun. Agrippa says, well, the college produced Chris, so it can't be that great.
Well, I didn't say the college was any good. I just said that the mascot was good.
No, so I went to community college, and I did this thing called 90-30, which was a deal you made with the university, NAU, right?
Northern Arizona University.
Yep, and you did 90 community college credits, and then the last 30 were remote, basically education to get your degree. That was the only way I could get a job at CBS television at the time. So I was fine. I tried to do the cheapest way, because I was paying for it, the cheapest way to get a degree so that I could go become a page and work on the lot. That was literally why I did that.
All right.
So just to get my foot in the door, because that was a requirement. He's like, 4-year degree in what? Anything.
Yes.
And I'm like, you mean anything? So I did and there was only select degrees. So anyway, I met a lot of amazing people at Scottsdale Community College, actually.
That's awesome.
A lot of mentors and friends that I still have from there.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So here I'm looking at areas where, number one, we need highlight, and number two, that color blend into this kind of, warmer flesh tone, because we use dark warm flesh and the advanced flesh tone here. So we're getting a little bit more yellow into our skin tone. So it is going to add the heat and warmth, let's say, of sunlight back into the model.
Yep.
Which is why I chose it over tan flesh, which is a little bit more desaturated. But we don't want to do the whole model because, again, we're now starting to pull things into highlight, right? So I have to think in terms of where, the sun and the brightness of the skin would actually exist versus then going into shadow steeply based on our angles. So we look again at here, I'm the sun up here. So I want to make sure I'm getting all those areas that I can see to have some sunlight, some of this warm light hitting them.
The freckles are looking great.
Yeah, and I've already done a layer of glaze over them, too.
Nibling says, oh, I got the brush vault. It's great. Nice. I love the brush vault.
One of my favorite products I've made.
It's so good.
It's one of those duh.
It works beautifully in the sidecar if you've got a Neo, too. I do that. I throw that in there with my shop paper towels. We make good stuff, chat. I don't know if you knew that. We use this stuff. I get jazzed when we make new stuff.
I wanted to
I'm here.
tote my brushes around. It was that easy on the brush vault.
Yeah.
I was like, I need something.
I need something to move my crap around.
Well, I tell the story that's funny. The Go Bag originally, and then the Evo Go Bag were all ways that I was like, you know what? If none of them sells and everybody thinks I'm crazy for doing it, that's fine. I will have the most expensive but cool bag on the planet.
Right.
Because I'll have this sample I paid tens of thousands of dollars for, right?
Right.
And as we went through the design process, because none of those things are off the shelf, so it's like, okay, well, here it goes. And we never kickstart anything, so it's all just, either I have the world's most costly paint bag, or we're going to be heroes.
George is asking, what's your favorite faction in 40K?
My favorite faction in 40K. Today I had to fill that in as I went to the Art of 40K on Facebook. They vet their people that want to join the Facebook group, and it said, "What's your favorite 40K faction?" And I just said the Imperium because that was a cheater's answer.
The Imperium?
Yeah, because I'm definitely not a heretic. I'm not big into any of the chaos stuff because I'm just not. I never really get into the bad guys. There are some bad guy factions that I like. Believe it or not, I like the Word Bearers.
Yeah,
I like the story behind them and the fact that they were the first heretics. So there is some fun to be had and all that. But I think for me, the reality is if I really go into it,
deep lore.
It's a tough one.
I like the orcs. They're
the
fun.
old orcs and the fun that GW was allowed to have with orcs, I think, was cool. I think that as we got into the current grim dark scenario, that they've forgotten the fun of orcs.
Yeah, okay.
And orcs are now just bloodthirsty warmongers, and they just feel like the barbarians and stuff.
Yeah.
Some of the factions have so much of just a standard trope to them, like world eaters, and they're just the big brutal guys, kill everything, blood for the blood god. It just doesn't fit for me.
Yeah.
So I think that I would have to pick something like that, like the old orcs, where there was some fun and humor into it. The wah, the mass belief causes things to work is just one of the best things ever.
We just think we're gonna win, so we're gonna win.
How does this engine go so fast? It shouldn't even work. Well, because they believe in it. The fact that at one point in time there was something that was never canon, but was sort of becoming this thought meta that was the Emperor was only kept alive by the fact that the orcs believed he was the most powerful being in the universe. That it wasn't the golden throne; it was the power of the Wa that was keeping the Emperor alive, and that kind of stuff gets me going. That's the kind of escapism that I want in my hobby. I'm like, oh yeah, now we're talking.
Yeah,
right. Because that just does the Inquisition in.
That's cool. No, I like that. Cool.
So yeah, I don't know that I have a really good answer. That's all like all scapegoat answers. So,
Jason, it's about time.
No way, dude.
I
made all this paint.
This is for you, dude.
I got about 4 hours worth of paint left here, Chris.
4 hours worth of paint?
Yeah.
I have things to do, Jason.
Well, you're gonna have to
call those editing.
Things. You're gonna have to call those things to do and make them unhappy, like you tried to make me yesterday with Taco Tuesday.
I can't because those things. I'm editing a video for us today for some things that are coming out. You know what I'm saying?
He says he's got work to do, chat, so I can't hang out with you anymore. He's
no.
Enemy of fun.
No, do you really want to go outside, Chris? That's actually justifiable. Here we go. No, because I also go swimming in the evening here. One of my favorite things to do in Arizona, because I do like the heat, is that when it's scorching outside and you go and you swim, right? I do my laps and I go swim, and there's the summer breeze, man, gets you cold, and then you go into a hot tub and you get even hotter, and then you get out and you're cold. It's beautiful, and you dry instantly. I'm also a desert rat, so there you go.
You're starting to look really good.
It's starting to look good.
Ow.
Jason, I'm sorry I have to be the enemy of fun.
Ow. Well, chat, I want you to know that Chris is the reason we're wasting all of this, so that's fine. It's fine. It's just fine. It's fine.
Oh, I'm sorry, you guys.
Michael Holtz will be at LVO, yeah. I don't know that I'll be there, but we will be at LVO.
Oh, you'll be there.
Oh, I don't know about that.
You'll be there.
I don't know about that, but there's a lot of shows at the same time.
We have a lot of shows going
in
on.
October. So
Chris, you're fired. Hey, there it is. Oh, T. Schmid, if you're out there.
Advertise the spare bottles you sell and rebottle it. I could do that. There is a world that we live in where I have these.
You're
so let's do that. Look at that. What a great idea. That person is hired. Chris, you're fired.
Agrippa? No, not Agrippa.
And, I mean,
he's like.
Did you think of this?
He's like the deputy to Little Billy.
Did you think of this? I don't think you thought of this. I don't know that there's actually enough to do this.
No.
This is the big problem.
No.
I'll put it in the bottle and we'll seal it up, but I don't think there's enough paint in here for.
How are you gonna even get this paint out of this bottle?
Pour it.
I know that. I'm just saying there's so much that it's gonna be on the side. It's because I love you. Thank you, T. Schmid. T. Schmid, I read your comments. He's been around, Jason. That's him right there. T. Schmid, I hear you.
I don't know if it's that you. I don't know if you actually buy this tea, but
no, buy it. Jason, was that worth it?
That was not worth it.
No, just make the same mix though.
But we do make these amazing bottles that you can.
I do that with. I pre-mix stuff that I know I'm going to use a boatload of. Just in general.
Well, I thought you were going to let me paint long enough to get that done today, so I didn't think about that.
I don't make time up. That is, I don't make time. I'm not father time.
You seem to make the rules of time.
Sorry, chat.
I'm sorry, chat.
No, I let you down. Jason's right. No, this is true. Chris, how do you get to paint out of any? How do you
Flapjack? That was exactly what I thought when he said that. I go, the heck kind of question is that?
Flapjack, my brother. Why would you slander me so? My heart. Wow. The same way you got it in the bottle. Thank you, Sulfurish.
That's how you get it out usually. You squeeze. You turn it upside down, you squeeze.
Wow.
Everyone, thank you so much for hanging out with us. If you're new around here and caught us on one of the raids, please hit that follow button if you're here on Twitch. If you're watching us over on the YouTubes, hit that subscribe button. We love having you back. We do this Monday through Friday, believe it or not. I put up with this guy for 2 hours a day, 5 days a week. It's insanity.
That's right.
Masochism at its finest, chat. So please come help me. My call to action is really a plea for assistance.
Is it?
I need
This is
I need someone to help prop my soul up.
Pure theater.
So Monday through Friday, 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, which is not a unit of measurement and is also not an oil company, right? But it is a time zone.
Now he's taking my bits.
And I did not touch your bits. And from 2 p.m. to 4 p.m., we'd love to see you back here. Make sure to check out all the links Chris puts in stream. What happened to his assistant? Can he step in relief? He said he wants to have nothing to do with Chris anymore.
Who?
That was Gabe. I don't know.
Gabe?
His words, not mine.
Gosh,
Make sure to check out monumenthobbies.com. You can grab all of the products you see us using here on stream. It really helps us out, and I think you'll enjoy them. We make some of the best, if not the best, hobby products for our miniature painting hobby in the galaxy. Go check them out. Next time you need some colors, paintbrushes, anything, I think you'll be blown away by the quality coming out of HQ here in Arizona. We love doing this every minute. So join us. Make sure you check out the Discord, approaching 6,000 amazing artists just like yourselves. Great inspiration, really great place to hang out, make friends, talk about the hobby, talk about whatever you want. Get inspiration, like I said, from other people's work that they're doing of all levels, from people that have never picked up a brush and are doing it for the first time to seasoned vets. So it's a great community. Everybody's treated well there. We'd love to see you over there. And then make sure to stick around, check out the YouTube channel, and where all of these go live, or all of our live shows go into the live tab over on YouTube, so you can catch up on things you might have missed if you joined us halfway through, or you want to go back and check out a clip that you remember something awesome from. They're all there for your perusing. So stick around. Chris is going to find us somebody to raid. Enjoy the hobby as you go off in your evening. Show some love in the chat we wind up in. It's free, and it keeps people going. Thanks for hanging out with us. We'll see you back here tomorrow. Adios.